blockbuster box office. Shop exclusive gear at the Bucks Pro Shop or get a favorite snack at Fiserv Forum's concessions. It's a win-win gift that lets them choose their experience. To purchase a gift card, visit bucks.com/gift cards.
Hey, this is Gabe Neitzel. You're listening to 94.5 ESPN, WKTI and WKTI HD, Milwaukee.
A locally owned Good Karma brand station.
It's time for the best 60 minutes of your life. This is the Homer Hour, broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee, alongside former Packer Brian Bulaga. Here's Emmy Award winner Homer.
It is the Brian Bulaga Homer Hour. This one may be historic because I have chosen to argue offensive line play in the NFL with Brian Bulaga. And Brian, don't be bothered or surprised. I took a golf lesson once from Manuel De La Torre, a legendary Hall of Famer, and I told him he was wrong too. As far as my putting, he was kind of amused. All right, you ready to go?
I'm ready. I'm ready. I like to be challenged a little bit, so I'm always open for opinions. I like it. I think it's good.
I'm happy to be proven wrong if I am. I'm going by the discussion that you had on Wilde and Tausch about what you would do with the upcoming offensive line, and so for those who weren't listening, which probably is a small group, but you said basically change as little as possible. Am I right? And go ahead and explain.
Yeah, so essentially what I explained to those guys was we're assuming that Myers leaves for free agency. I think everyone's kind of assumed that. That's kind of the path they're going to go. We've talked about this a bunch. You can only pay so many guys on an offensive line. So assuming that happens, I think they're probably going to move Elton to center. If you move Elton to center, you're assuming the first-round pick from last year, Jordan Morgan, who they were trying to work in at guard, but unfortunately got injured and went on IR. He slots in at left guard. You keep Rashid at left tackle. You keep Sean Ryan at right guard. You keep Zach Tom at right tackle, and you go in with that lineup. Now, that's the way I look at it, and you kind of go from there. But obviously, what you pick up in free agency, what you pick up in the draft, who competes with who in camp, that's up for further discussion, of course.
All right, now we get to Homer's offensive line. Here's how I look at it because there are changes. I look at rule one, whoever is the best is going to get screwed the most because my first thing is I have confidence in this player. Whatever I do with them, I know they'll be fine. So I think right now, and we can do the best person in the offensive line looking forward is Zach Tom.
Okay.
All right, so whatever is left over, he's going to take. I don't worry. I can put him anywhere because in the end, I have the least concern about that. I start with my biggest problem, and that being the weakest link of the offensive line. I'm going to figure out the best way to use that person. All right, now, so who do we have? Who's going to be likely the weakest of the five?
I think the biggest unknown right now is the left guard. I mean, because we haven't seen Jordan Morgan play.
Okay, all right. There we have it.
You know what I mean?
Weakest guy, likely in the offensive line is Morgan. All right. So,
but I just want to be clear.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's the weakest. It's just because we have not seen him play.
Right. There's an unknown. The biggest unknown is probably. To be fair.
Yes.
You're just much nicer than me. Because our conversations are in private. These are not in private. All right. So the biggest unknown is Jordan Morgan. So. The Homer offensive line, we're taking care of Jordan Morgan first. Where am I going to play him that he has the best chance of being the best? I don't care about anything else. This is rule one. All right, now I have my expert, Brian Bulaga. You have Jordan Morgan. We've decided we got to address this first. Not you, because Homer says this is the biggest unknown. Where are you, since you're my advisor, where are you going to play him?
Well, there's a couple different ways you could look at it. And for me personally, I think based on my my knowledge of the protection schemes, and I'm not sure how much they've changed them. But normally how LaFleur's schemes and how the protections are built and what they do, I would leave him at left guard because predominantly what teams do a lot, and Green Bay's no different than a lot of other teams, they slide the center to the left to protect the backside of the quarterback. Now, the backside of the quarterback is whatever you think is away from, his initial read, right? So if he's looking to the left, the backside of the quarterback's to the right. But regardless, most of the time the line slides or the center slides to the left. So the left guard initially has the most protection right away, unless there's a pressure or they're brushing 5, and then everyone's one-on-one, and then you just got to win a block. But initially, the left guard, if you slide left, has the most help.
So the Homer approach versus the Bulaga approach, so far we're the same. Like when you're on Willie and Tasha, you had in your analysis him at left guard, right?
Yep.
So they were the same.
Yep.
All right, now what's our second biggest concern after Jordan Morgan? Again, my analysis, not yours, because you don't want to judge the players too harshly. All right, so we got left guard. Now, what's the of the players we got, of the 5 we're probably going to use, who's our next biggest concern? Left tackle?
I think the common theme for everyone would say left tackle. And the thing that I found reassuring was the way she played towards the end of the season. I thought he played well towards the end of the season, but I think everyone, it's like, I think the way people currently are judging Jordan Love are the way people are judging Rasheed Walker, because they've had so many years of Bakhtiari and then before that years of Chad Clifton, and they're so used to great left tackle play. And just the same way they're judging Jordan Love because they've had Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre, and they judge guys based off that. You have to kind of let guys settle into their own and build their own resume. But I think, if we're going to look at it, I think people would say the left tackle spot would be the next position we would look at.
And I don't care about everybody else. I just care about you. Because my answer to that is I think he's fine. I judge offensive linemen by how little you mention them. And he certainly gave anybody, a chance to talk about him because he didn't come highly touted. But I never care where you're drafted. I don't care if they found you on the streets of anywhere. It's how you play. And I would say he plays good enough. But so left tackle, but it's still, you have the 5 people you're looking at, and he could easily be the second one that comes up. So, he's a left tackle, which is what you said before. That was on your system.
And I think you leave him at left tackle. And I guess if you want to make the argument, right, and this is kind of what, we got into a little bit with on Willie and Tausch, that if you want to put your best lineman at left tackle, which we both agree, I think everyone agrees, your best tackle is Zach Tom, and you want to make that switch, that's okay, right? And if that's the mentality, that's fine. You just have to understand there's a lot of things that then happens with that switch, right? Not just having 2 guys swap their footwork and cross-train for that now in an offseason, but all that chemistry that Zach Tom and Sean Ryan have built through an entire year, now Zach Tom has to build new chemistry with Jordan Morgan, whoever plays left guard, and now Rasheed Walker now has to do that with Sean Ryan, and now it's
and see, this is where I want to interject to you, and as we're having, and I'd say, Brian, that's nice. I believe in Zach Tom, and I don't have any concern about whatever I tell him to do. If I tell him to play on his hand upside down, I'm confident with that. The thing I'm most confident of regarding the offensive line is whatever I have to tell Zach Tom to do. I think I can put him at any position on the line. So his adjustment, you can come in, Zach, and go, Coach, I'd say, Zach, listen closely. You're the best. I have so much confidence in you. You can do whatever it is however hard it is, I have more faith in asking you to do the impossible than asking anybody else in the offensive line to do anything else. Drive home safely. We'll see you when we start. What is?
Yeah, I mean, listen. Yes. I don't know if Zach Tom can play center. Apparently, there's a lot of reports that he can play center.
Wait a minute. Hold on. You know he can play center even if you've never seen him play center, right? There's nothing. Tell me what you believe Zach Tom can't do. Now, I know you believe he'll do some things better than others, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a tackle.
Right.
I think he's a tackle. And I don't think you move starting NFL tackles anywhere near the center position.
Even if putting him in the center gives you the best offensive line you can have for Jordan Love.
There isn't a best offensive line when you move really good tackles to center. There's no such thing. Unless you bring in two tackles that are at a Pro Bowl, all-pro level. That are going to replace him.
Then center isn't as important as I think it is.
The center position, as important as it is for communication, getting people on the same page, there's a reason why. And this is not a knock on Josh Myers.
This is a discussion of the position, and this is a great example of how that fits. Yeah, I get that. Go ahead.
This is a reason why there's a very high chance Josh Myers may be leaving in free agency, and they're going to pass on re-signing a center, and Zach Tom's going to get a big extension at tackle. Because tackles are very hard to find in this league. And listen, we just watched a Super Bowl where one team didn't have tackles and it got really bad really fast.
Even though they used a guard to move to tackle who was a very, very good guard, correct?
Correct.
So they violated – this is good. I didn't know we were going there. They violated the Brian Bulaga rule of offensive line, right? If you had been in that meeting, you would have said, I'm leaving. You people don't get it. We cannot do that. I don't know what else I don't know what other options we have. This is not an option, not a result. This is just the importance of that position. You got to figure something else out, right? Had you been there, you would have had another option. I don't know what it is, but it would not have been what they did, right?
I would have tried to convince whoever I could have to try to think of something different, because now you're weakening two positions, right? Now you're weakening two spots and creating issues for two different areas on the offensive line.
And it doesn't matter how good a guard he is. It doesn't matter how good a center is. There's only one question that Brian Bulaga, your tackle expert, is going to say. Can he play that position? We don't know. No. Then go to plan B. We don't have a plan B. Find a plan B, because plan A won't work. And you could easily say that was a major factor.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. So, that's the thing. If the consensus is Zach Tom could be a really good center, that's great. That's really good. And I'm happy for him. But to me, there is no reason to move a really good tackle to the inside at the center position, and most likely, most of the time, offensive lines are going against nickel defense. That's 4 down linemen. So that means you're probably one of your best pass blockers, if not your best pass blocker, is blocking nobody. He is sliding to go help someone majority of the time. Right? So that means you're best.
I'm listening. You've convinced the Homer rule of I'll come up with another plan the next time I argue with you, but go ahead.
But that's so occasionally, yes, if he's picking up a linebacker blitzing, yes, then he is blocking a linebacker, or if a D lineman slants to him, yes, he's picking up a defensive tackle. But there's a difference of him being on the edge, blocking guys like T.J. Watt, or blocking guys like Myles Garrett, or blocking guys like Danielle Hunter, or whoever. There's a difference. I would much rather have him out on the edge doing that than having him snap the ball. Because, I'm not like I played with great centers. And I listen, I was very fortunate. I played with great centers, from Scott Wells to Corey Lindsley. Like, I played with great centers, and they were really good at their job. But there's something to be like, there would be no way that even if I could snap a ball, that they would move me to center, because they wouldn't. They just would not move me to center.
Because of the importance of the tackle position, regardless of how gifted they think you are as a player.
Yes, because the thing is, you look at the quarterback play in general, like Green Bay's offense, even when it was McCarthy, even now with LaFleur, pass blocking is an absolute premium in the NFL. Like, you see how important it is for offensive lines to be able to hold up in pass protection, for the tackle to be able to maintain width of the pocket so that the quarterbacks can operate and be able to step up and move out and do what they want to do. The minute they start to feel collapsed in, as we saw Mahomes in the Super Bowl, things go really, really bad. Things go haywire. So if your guys on the edge can't hold up for that 3.5 seconds, things look atrocious.
Hold on. All I got to do is take a tight end and chip over there. That's all I got to do. What's wrong about that?
Well, then you start doing that, then they're going to put their really good guy on the other side, and he's going to rush your other guy. Or then they're going to start pressuring and baiting,
and
then
my tight end can't do what I'd like him to do, or I don't know how often.
Well, then you're essentially removing Tucker Kraft from the route tree. So now you want to use him to chip as little as possible, given how you use him as a receiver, correct? You would prefer not to have him chip all the time, right?
And then again, as you said, the chip doesn't work that much because they just move.
Yes, and we see many times. Sometimes the chip helps the D lineman because you chip them back inside, and the tackle doesn't. Listen, tackles never complain about help, but.
So chipping is not the answer. Chipping you do every once in a while, but you better not need it. All right? Right?
Correct.
All right. Okay. Got that. We need to take a break because now I think I have a future as the assistant for the Brian Bulaga offensive line rules, because I think I got it. I know, Homer, it's all about tackles. Take care of tackles, not about who our people are. All right, we'll go to the second quarter next.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on 94.5 ESPN.
Well, we got a couple of issues out there right now. We've got a crash on northbound 41 right about at Hampton Avenue off on the left shoulder, so definitely seeing delays through that area. We've also got delays southbound from just south of Appleton Avenue down past Capitol Drive. Eastbound 94, watch for delays heading through the Barker Road area to Brookfield Road. Then again from 92nd Street all the way through to 35th. The westbound side heavy from 16th Street all the way through to Mitchell Boulevard. Southbound 43 backing up from North Avenue through the Marquette over the high-rise. Northbound is slowing from Fond du Lac Avenue up to North. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, a low of 7 with a wind chill of 5 above to 5 below. And then tomorrow, sunny, a high of 27. Weather is brought to you by National Liquor Mart at 16th and National in Milwaukee, packed with the best beer, liquor, seltzer, and spirit deals in town. Open 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily, where your satisfaction is their plan of action. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazagon, 94.5 ESPN.
Baseball season. So close you could almost smell it.
Off the top of the wall and out of here! Garrett Mitchell, a go-ahead 2-run home run in the bottom of the 8th inning.
The Brewers are back on the field for spring training. Catch Cactus League action right here on 94.5 ESPN Sunday, February 23rd.
An ESPN Radio Extra Point with Evan Cohen, Chris Canty, and Michelle Smallman.
This trade in acquiring Luka did not put the pressure on them, in my opinion, to win it all this year. It put the pressure on them to win it all at some point during the tenure of Luka as a Laker. And I think the focus of them has changed from you better win with LeBron, again, to you better win with Luka. Now, if LeBron is there for that, that's even better.
you're trying to take advantage of still having LeBron James on the team. So how could you not have urgency? We just can't assume that you're going to get the same version of LeBron James next year. I get it. It's only a year difference. But once you get on the other side of 40, them like dog years, bro. Like, we don't see many athletes have an opportunity to still be in the league, let alone playing at the level that LeBron James is. He's still one of the 10 greatest players in the world. So you want to be able to take advantage of being able to have two of those dudes on your team.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6759. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6759. That's 800-575-6759. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
When you don't compromise on the court, you shouldn't compromise off of it either. Lose the calories, not the taste. Michelob Ultra. Superior light beer. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri. Copyright 2024.
Hey, Bucks fans, enjoy Michelob Ultra at Maddie's Bar and Grill, Papa Stash, Tavern on 6, Joe Cat's Pub, Camp Bar Wauwatosa, Maxwell's, Thirsty Buck, State Street Pizza, and Stenny's Lake Country. Michelob Ultra, proud sponsor of the Milwaukee Bucks.
This is the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
1, 2, you know what to do.
This is the Brian Bulaga Homer Hour. We're supposed to be Homer arguing with Brian Bulaga, but I think he's already convinced me as to the importance of tackles first, not judging who your best players are. So now we get to Zach Tom. Got to stay at a tackle. Well, I'm going to use my same rule. I can count on him to do anything, so I'm comfortable if I have to move him to left tackle based on what you've told me. And I assume that if they disagreed with your approach in terms of how, but you had Zach Tom at left tackle, you can live with that. You cannot live with him at center, correct?
Yeah, correct. Listen, if they decide to move him to left tackle, I can live with that. But that is something that I am totally okay with. I'd be happy for him. You know what? Not just for him financially, because obviously that'll be a big plus for him. That'll be a huge plus for Zach Tom financially if he got to move over there and he plays well. But for the team, if he plays well, there's a lot of benefit to that, right? That allows the team to be able to do different things from a scheme standpoint, how they slide the line, the different protections they can do. So just like with Dave, when Dave was at left tackle in Clifton, when you can have a left tackle that you can just leave out there and they can just do what they just block a guy and you don't have to worry about them, it allows you to do a lot of different things with protection. And you can just have guys, you can change protections, you can slide the line, you can have running backs, insert through A and B gaps and do a bunch of different things and really give different looks to the defense. So if you move him to left tackle, okay. All I'm saying, if you do that, you better make sure that whoever you're putting at right tackle, we'll just assume it's Rasheed Walker, that you're letting him know early. Like, I mean early as in like right now, so that he can start preparing for that and not letting him know at training camp. Because if you let him know at training camp, that's going to be very difficult to get ready by the time week 1 kicks off.
Right. And my assumption is anybody who can play left tackle is automatically going to be good enough to play right tackle, because I think left tackle is harder to play than right tackle, but maybe I'm wrong on that too.
It has nothing to do with the difficulty of playing left tackle. It's the footwork.
Oh,
it's how you push off. It's how it's being left foot.
But
dominant,
I thought you faced the better pass rushers at left tackle, or your concern is the quarterback and what's best for him. Maybe that's not true anymore. Take it away.
Yeah, the best pass rusher thing is that's that's a myth nowadays because you look at these teams now. Majority of them have two good pass rush. I mean, I'll just name off a few guys that majority of the time rush off the right side. T.J. Watt rushes off the right side majority of the time. Nick Bosa rushes off the right side majority of the time. I'm trying to think of the guys throughout the NFC that people. No,
that's fine.
Recognize.
I believe we just got to move on.
Yeah. So like the right side, the right tackles face very high-end pass rushers every single week. So like the whole thing about the left and right tackle, I mean, it's way different than what it was, I would say, probably in the early 2000s when teams only had one really good pass rusher and they lined up on the blind side of the quarterback.
Because I'm thinking the only reason they moved Zach Tom to the left is because they want to make a change and Walker's not a part of the system anymore. I don't. Is there any reason you can see why you would keep them both and switch them?
I don't see why you would switch. I mean, I don't know why there would be a switch unless for some reason, right, internally they were that unhappy with the Walker's performance, which the way I watched it early on, he struggled, but then how he kind of smoothed it out at the end of the year and how he played towards the end, like, I don't know if they're that upset with it.
And Packers, as a lieutenant on the Brian Bulaga offensive line, there's no point in moving Zach Tom if in moving him you create a problem at right tackle.
Correct.
Because this is not the 19 whatever age. This is both tackles. I mean, I think we should think of them as almost the same or so close that if you're going to be wrong, you better to be wrong on the same than believing that there's a huge difference in those positions.
I mean, the way that I see modern football right now is you better have two tackles that can perform at a high level in pass pro. Because if you don't, you're going to have a lot of issues, a lot of problems. So, like, if they're going to make that move, then they need to have a really good solution or start this transition really early.
Yeah, they must say we don't want Walker a part of it for a reason anymore, and so he moves Zach Tom. But now, if you don't have an answer at left tackle, then this would be against the Brian Bulaga school on offensive linemen. All right, now we get to we got to take care of the tackles first. That's my new understanding of the offensive line. Now we got Elton Jenkins, because, again, I still believe you look and make the toughest responsibilities for the people you believe in the most. Like, Elton Jenkins is really good. I'll play him anywhere. I'm not going to play him at tackle, but I'm going to play him at guard, either one. And if I lose my center, and even if he's the worst center or whatever, I'm comfortable and he'll figure it out. This is a rule I use for basketball players going to the NBA. I don't care what their problems are. I either believe some people can figure it out and some can't. He can figure it out, and so I got no problem. Easiest decision, moving him anywhere I need in those three spots to fill our offensive line. True or not?
100%. 100%. Elton has shown in his time in Green Bay he can play up and down the offensive line. He's the one guy, right? And I know Goody said it in the presser about Zach Tom. He can play all five positions. Elton Jenkins is the one guy that has shown that he has played all five positions. Like, he's the one guy that has shown that he's done it throughout his time. So, like, I feel good about Elton being able to play any three of those interior spots. And I know he can do it at a high level at center because he's been around really good centers, right? His rookie year, he was with Corey. Like, he was next to Corey for multiple years, hearing how Corey operated at the center position, how he made calls, how he does things, and how he, verbalized things and got the message to people and ID'd things. So, like, he has a very good understanding. And then, Myers was very good at identifying defenses and getting guys on the same page, especially last year. I thought he was really good getting guys set and on the same page, making good IDs really fast, really early. So I thought Elton's been next to centers that know how to do it. And Elton's been in the offense. He knows all the calls. He knows the adjustments. He knows where guys need to be. So I think if Elton plays center, he will be just fine. And I think he'll do it really well, which will be really good if Jordan Morgan plays left guard, to have a veteran like Elton at center, to make sure that he is on the same page with everybody else, right? Having a veteran like Elton, at center, helping out a younger left guard that hasn't had many snaps and real NFL game experience is very valuable. So I think Elton being at the center position is, a natural transition for him if we all assume Myers headed to free agency.
And as far as the depth of the offensive line, I'm going to feel comfortable of anybody getting hurt in those three positions that I can put Jenkins at any of those spots so that we don't have potentially a disaster as big as the disaster we had in their playoff game. But not a tackle, but I don't care if he hasn't played the position all year. If the three that we have, because of an injury, puts him at a place he's hadn't been all year, I'm still comfortable with that as possibly our best depth play on those inside three spots. Am I wrong or right there?
You're correct there. It's just what I'm worried about is what's behind that then, right? Like what's then behind Elton? Or like, say Elton moves, what's behind the injured player?
Right. But
that's my biggest concern.
Whatever my best replacement is at any of those three spots, that person's going in, and Elton has to move wherever I need him to move. I only need one. I mean, I need one less probably depth in that area. I don't want it, but I could survive it because of the flexibility that Elton Jenkins, well, whoever my best substitute is, at left guard, right guard, or center, that person comes in with an injury of either of the two people other than Elton, and Elton moves wherever he has to move. Sorry, you can handle it.
Yes, 100%.
All right.
100%. I mean, and we kind of look at what's in, the depth chart right now, and I think, Jacob Monk, he was drafted as a natural center. That would be the play right now, right? If a guard gets hurt or something happens, Elton would move to that position. Monk would insert right in that center, and that's where you would go. And that's the way you would play it, right? I mean, I think that's the way I would go with it. Because, what happened in Philly was it just can't happen again. It just can't happen. Let's put it that way. It can't happen again.
No, the gap can never be that big. It can't.
Yes. No. I mean, because, listen, we understood, in that game, the offense was struggling, and it pretty much started right when Elton left, right? But the game never got out of hand for anybody. The game never got out of hand for Green Bay. Yep. Green Bay was always in the game at a certain, really in the fourth quarter. So we needed the offense to be somewhat productive, and they couldn't, right? And that was simply because the offensive line couldn't hold up. So we can't have that happen again. And so that means there needs to be depth pieces behind these guys, that the starting five, as we get into this thing, that can be moved around. And obviously Elton is a very valuable piece that can move up and down that thing. But unfortunately, it was him that got injured in Philly, right? That's the unfortunate part.
The question to me that I'll look at, the importance of knowing you have to have two versus one. To me, up until our discussion, I think, all right, you got to have a great left tackle. Right tackle's nice, and now I'm the belief of no. You got to have, in today's NFL, two. One's going to be better. Left may still be slightly more important, but the people that have figured out the importance of two tackles, and I would say the first I remember hearing this was with Philly, because they kind of made it clear that Philly was different in that they paid big money to both tackles, as if most teams only do it to one. Now, I could have heard that wrong, and I haven't done that study, but I would say the premise of two really good tackles and paying them big money, I don't know how many teams are in that club yet.
Yeah, I don't know if there's many. I don't know if there's any at this point in time. Right?
And you would advise them seriously to consider it, right?
For sure. I mean, if you can get two good tackles, and I would pay them and hold on to them. Like, I think a team that does it, another team is Denver. They got McGlinchey at right tackle, and the kid at
I'm not going to know the name, but anyway.
Yeah, but he at left tackle. So I think they got two highly paid tackles. But Philly is like the gold standard of it, right? They got 2 really good tackles. They paid them, and they're going to continue to pay them because they operate at a really high level. But if you have 2 good tackles, you can't let them walk out the door. You just can't do it because to replace that, production is almost impossible. Right, it's impossible to do.
It's all this is layers we're talking about, and this is a new layer. I've fired myself as arguing with you on offensive line. I'm now in the tackle club. We'll get to the third quarter coming up soon. I do want to mention it's Dame time on season 4 of the Behind the Bucks podcast, presented by Gallagher. Explore Bucks superstar Damian Lillard's unlikely journey from a 2-star high school prospect to a top 75 player in NBA history. The series, narrated by senior NBA insider Chris Haynes, reveals exclusive details of Dame's trade to the Bucks and experience with the team. Find Behind the Bucks on bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, and wherever you get your podcasts. Behind the Bucks, presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. Third quarter with Brian Bulaga next.
The Homer Hour is back after this on 94.5 ESPN.
Delays continue westbound 94 from about 20th Street to about Mitchell Boulevard. Back on the brakes from Highway 100 all the way past Sunny Slope Road. On the eastbound side, slowing right past Barker Road, then back on the brakes from 92nd Street all the way to 35th. Slowing on the bypass, going to be slow out of the Zoo interchange down to Lincoln. Back on the brakes from Beloit Road around the Hale all the way to almost Loomis. And then southbound 43, we've got some backups as well from about Locust all the way down through the Marquette over the high-rise bridge heading down towards Lapham. And checking the TMJ4 Storm King forecast. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, a low of 7 with a wind chill of 5 above to 5 below. Then tomorrow, sunny with a high of 27. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga, 94.5 ESPN.
They say seeing is believing. And when you see what's inside at American Place Casino, you better believe you're gonna love it. Because when it comes to amazing gaming, we're a real game changer. With the most exciting of table games like blackjack, craps, and roulette, the newest slots, a sportsbook, restaurants, bars, and more. So if you're ready for excitement, we'll see you soon. American Place Casino. Change the game.
Must be 21 years of age or older. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537.
UW Credit Union presents the Student Athlete of the Week, supporting local student athletes as they grow on the field, in the classroom, and in the community. UW Credit Union is here for every you. Learn more at uwcu.org. Here's Ashton Rotman with the UW Credit Union Student Athlete of the Week.
This week's UW Credit Union Student Athlete of the Week is Brown Deer High School's Amira Grant. The star for the Brown Deer's girls basketball squad, Grant is having an incredible season. 4 50-point performances this season for the Falcons, all coming within the last month. The senior guard leads the state in scoring at over 40 points per game, and at all time sits top 5 for Wisconsin. Grant will continue her athletic and academic career at the Division I level next season, with the offers starting to pile up. Congratulations to this week's UW Credit Union Student Athlete of the Week, Amira Grant from Brown Deer High School.
Today, we meet Sarah.
Oh, hi. Welcome to the local Dell.
Sarah owns a small business, just like you.
Oh, yeah. And I could always use more customers.
Sarah knows how frustrating it can be when customers can't find you online. Wrong phone numbers, outdated listings, or bad reviews holding you back.
Ugh, I need it to be easier for people to find me. Help.
Visit snapshotmybusiness.com and you can get a free comprehensive report of your online storefront. We'll check everything. Your business listings, online reviews, social media posts, and even how your website ranks on search engines.
Wait, I can get a free snapshot report of all that?
That's right. The snapshot report shows you what needs fixed to attract more customers and grow your business.
Snapshotmybusiness.com.
Yep, it's easy. Just log on to snapshotmybusiness.com today and see how your business stacks up. Snapshotmybusiness.com. Your path to more business.
So many of our youth carry unimaginable burdens. Anger, depression, even thoughts of suicide. At Rawhide Youth Services, we recognize their pain. We help them find hope and healing. For those that need a second chance at life, We refuse to give up on them. Please be a part of our life-saving work. When you donate your used vehicle to Rawhide, you're helping change the lives of countless youth in our communities. Go to rawhide.org/donate and help them realize a brighter future today.
You're listening to the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
Continuing the discussion of the offensive line, a Brian Bulaga Homer Hour, and about the importance of tackles. That's the position of the Homer Hour now. Tell me about your tackles first, and then we'll get to the other stuff. My other thought is, I believe the Packers' offensive line is in good shape. I'm not saying great shape, but then you're always looking to add players. I'm sure they're drafting, but going into the season, I don't think I have a concern that, well, the offense is going to depend more than anything else on how they handle the offensive line. There are things to be addressed, but I would say I expect everything to work out fine. What would be your word?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're in decent shape, and I say that because like I have confidence in the start. You know, the four guys that got action last year, right? Like, I mean, you look at Walker, you look at Elton, you look at Sean Ryan and Zach Tom, and we talked about it earlier. The unknown is Jordan Morgan, and it's not because of I question his ability. I mean, he was a first-round pick. They saw something in him. He was getting reps at right guard and at the guard position.
Staying
so they obviously
healthy. That's my concern.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that he recovered from that shoulder injury and that he's doing okay. But to see how he performs against, you know, week in, week out against, starting competition in the NFL, not preseason and things like that. So that's the one question mark. And obviously Green Bay, Steno, and, I'm not just Goody, but, Butkus, the offensive line coach, Steno and LaFleur saw something that they liked throughout the season and in camp that they were rotating him in and out. So I'm assuming that that's going to continue on, through training camp this year, and he's going to be the guy. So for the most part, I feel good about the group. Now, the one part that I don't, and we already hit on this last segment, is the depth, right? Like the depth of the offensive line is a concern. Because I think what we just literally talked about, what happened in Philly can't happen again. So what I'm hoping gets done, and however Goody addresses it, obviously that's for him and the scouts and all those guys. I think probably the best way, and this would just be me, I'm not saying go get guys that are in their high or mid 30s, or because Goody wants to go away from that, and that's fine, that's great. But kind of those midline vets that aren't going to cost you a ton of money, but they're solid, true backup type guys, right? They're going to back up your group. You can plug them in if you need. You're going to need a swing tackle, and you're going to need a swing guard, and that's where you're at. And you're going to need those guys. And if you're able to get those guys,
you got to have at least one.
Yeah,
they didn't have one.
No, exactly. You got to have at least one of those guys.
Yeah.
You got to have one guy. So, and people may say, well, why don't we just draft one? Well, then you're back in the same position again. You're drafting a young guy and hoping he can do it. And that's a project again then for Butkus, the offensive line coach, to make sure he can, get this young kid ready to go do that job. That's a hard job to do if you haven't experienced it in the NFL yet, to cross-train at guard and tackle and prepare yourself for that on Sundays. So,
and you can't risk it. You don't have to risk it. It might be that offensive young guy is great, but you still have the veteran there. And I'm sure, to be fair with Goody, he's not going to have two. Find a guy who can play both. Guard tackle. But you might have to pay more for that. But you have to have someone so that you're not risking it on how that rookie will develop, right? It's that simple.
I think so. And because I think probably as he was watching that game against Philly, and probably as he watched it back too, once they got back to Green Bay, he probably, at least if I would assume, he probably was like, all right, that needs to be addressed. Like, we have to address that. Like, and I get there's other positions that, need to be addressed. But the depth of that group needs to be, because that's, you're protecting your most valuable asset, and that's your quarterback, right? Like, that is the the club's most valuable asset is the guy behind the center. So you need to make sure that if someone gets injured on that group up front, that you plug in another player that can protect your most valuable asset and make sure that the operation continues to move as smoothly as possible. Like, and it's not going to be perfect, but that you can still function as a group. And clearly that wasn't the case. So I'm just going on a limb thinking that they are going to address that. We'll see if it is in the line of adding a veteran that has played and understands kind of both positions, but we'll see. You know, I don't know.
Wouldn't even have to do it if you want to at the beginning of the season, but you get into the season and you know more and more about your rookies and stuff, then, you know.
Yeah.
Then you.
Yeah.
How big do you want to gamble? And there's no way Goody could say the only thing that could happen that we wouldn't be ready for is actually what happened. But you can't do that.
Well, yeah,
Again.
I mean, and let's be real. Like, the expectations for the team are to go very deep. Like,
to be a player. They're a player. We get hot. We can go all the way or close, whatever. But we're a player. Someone said to me, that's what you wanted. And you felt that on the team literally every year when it started. We're a player.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to be that type of team, you have to have guys that are able to step in when called upon and perform at a high level. And there shouldn't be much of a drop-off. I get it that there is a drop-off from the starters to the backups, but it has to feel like there isn't, right? It has to have that feeling. And that's just, unfortunately, what happened in that Philly game just wasn't the case.
And everybody on that team, of offensive players, knew not we're in trouble, but this is scary, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, Jordan Love, when he got the ball, the ball was snapped to him, about a second and a half is how quick it took for the pressure up the middle to get to him. That's not a good feeling for a quarterback. Like, it's just not a good feeling, because at a second and a half, that pressure is getting to you. By the time the quarterback's trying to bail out a back, to the pocket, on the backside of the pocket, the defensive ends are rushing high and wide. The tackles are thinking, okay, I'm good. I got my guy high and wide up the field. Oh, no, there's the quarterback sitting at 8 yards where I'm trying to push my DN past, and there's a sack. So, like, it's very difficult to operate that way, and it puts a lot of guys in tough positions, and it obviously with the quarterback. But it does a lot of damage to everyone. The receivers can't get open. Running backs can't operate in the space that they need to. And
you'd love to see that game again with an adequate replacement. You would, right?
Yeah. I think the offense would be able to operate at a better level.
Not saying they would win, but it was that big an issue.
Yeah, I'm not saying they would win the football game. I mean, Philly is the outright champion. They earned their championship. But I'm saying that I think Green Bay could have done more in the game. Right. Is you know what I mean? To help out, like, the defense in general, right? Like, to do something more.
All right. We need to take a break because we got to get to the fourth quarter, because while I say I never talk about Aaron Rodgers, this is the Brian Bulaga Homer Hour. So I certainly want to ask him about Aaron Rodgers. I talk about American Place Casino. There's so many great things. Voted friendliest casino where you feel luckiest. North Shore Steaks and Seafood open. Jackpots won daily. They have great table games. They have sports book, slot machines, great food. That's not me. I am American Place Casino, a half hour south of Franklin. American Place Casino, a half hour south of Franklin. American Place Casino, a half hour south of Franklin, until you're tired of me saying it. And yes, if you're specific, 38 minutes. American Place Casino, one more time, just a half hour south of Franklin. Go to AmericanPlaceCasino.com. Brian Bulaga on Aaron Rodgers. Next.
More of the Homer Hour coming up on ESPN Wisconsin. Join Homer on the trip of a lifetime to see the many shades of Ireland in August. Text Homer to 800-990-3776 for info. All day, every day. The Carbless Talk and Text line is open for you.
First off, there is not one team that's on the fringe that scares me.
800-990-3776. The Carbless Talk and Text line. This is more.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
That dog does not want to be petted.
Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
ESPN Radio Sports Beat with Freddie Coleman.
I don't know what's going to happen tonight in the Four Nations Face-Off Championship involving the United States and Canada. I know what's not going to happen. 3 fights in 9 seconds like we saw on Saturday night, all started by the boys in the red, white, and blue known as the United States, and they wound up winning that hockey game. But you can put it in this kind of perspective. We have basketball and baseball in this country. In Canada, that is their sport. The national sport, that is hockey. Can you imagine what it would sound like if they lose to the United States not once but twice in 5 days? From New Brunswick to Vancouver, from Nova Scotia to Calgary, from Edmonton to Prince Edward Island. They do not want their national pride taken away with a championship on the line involving a country that believes they're as good and about to be better than Canada. It has all the makings of a great game. Just don't expect any fights at the beginning. They got that nonsense out of the way on Saturday. In 60 seconds, it will take longer when it comes to L.A. Luka.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs, with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Everybody wants what they want, either collectively or individually. Not now, not later, but yesterday. And I know plenty of Lakers fans right now are thinking, man, this Luka experiment is going to take a little bit longer to really take root for Luka Doncic to be comfortable and the Lakers to be the Lakers team that Lakers fans believe they should be. Well, yeah. He hasn't played a lot of basketball since December 25th when he had that calf strain that kept him out and then wound up having him being traded from the Dallas Mavericks to the Los Angeles Lakers. I know there could be plenty of panic in Hollywood after what happened to the Lakers on Wednesday night against the Charlotte Hornets. But you shouldn't be surprised, not by the loss. No. It's the NBA. Anything can happen. But you shouldn't be surprised it's going to take a little bit longer with a guy who's great like Luka is to get to that greatness and try to do it in a short amount of time. I know Lakers fans, whether they want yesterday, but you have to be a little bit more patient for this experiment to finally take hold and work in Los Angeles. For the ESPN Radio Sports Beat, I'm Freddie Coleman of ESPN Radio's Freddie and Harry.
Hey, this is Brad Nortman, here to tell you about my friends at Bank 5-9. Everywhere I go throughout the area, I see Bank 5-9, and it's no wonder why. Not only do they have 14 branch locations, but their employees spend nearly 9,000 hours each year volunteering in the communities that they serve. That's on top of the financial support that they provide to several hundred nonprofits right here in southeastern Wisconsin. If you're looking for a true local community bank, check them out today at bank59.com. Member FDIC.
Welcome back to the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
It is the fourth quarter. I have said I don't talk about Aaron Rodgers because I care about things only as they relate to the Green Bay Packers. Everything in the NFL is important only as it relates to the Packers. He didn't play for the Packers anymore. They're probably not going to play against him. When it was thought up maybe he'd go to the Vikings, then it's possible an issue. However, this is the Brian Bulaga Homer Hour, and I do not hold Brian Bulaga to what he has to talk about because I am curious, because I'll bet that you would like to see Aaron Rodgers still play, or maybe you think he should retire. And I've always assumed he's not only a teammate, but a friend. How am I doing so far?
No, you're right. He's a friend of mine, and obviously I want him to make the best decision for him and how he feels, his body is and his desire to play and all that. And I want him to be successful wherever he goes and continue his, let's just call it what it is. Make sure his legacy continues to be improved upon, because that's what he's built over his career. It's a legacy. It's not, he's not some random quarterback, right? He's a Hall of Fame first ballot quarterback. So you want him to be able to.
But I think I would say to you and him, your legacy's done. You're a multiple MVP. You won a Super Bowl. You're in the club. Your legacy is going to be great, even if things finish horribly. You'd like to kind of do it the way Manning did it, or the way Tom Brady did it, doing it with the second team. But that's just a bonus. Peyton Manning wouldn't be thought of significantly less if he hadn't won in Denver. In fact, when he won in Denver, it really wasn't him. And the same with Brady. There's a personal thing there for them, but Aaron Rodgers' legacy is one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game, and some will say he played the position as well in his prime as anyone who ever played. He can go play for a team and go 0-16, and that ain't going to change because it'll just be he got old. You want to look at some old finishing careers? You can find a lot of them. But go ahead. This is more my curiosity of you watching him. Could you ever call Aaron and go, Aaron, I played with you. It's over.
I don't think that I would. I'd call him and tell him that he.
He'd know it.
The guy. He knows his body and his skill set better than anyone else. Like, he is very in tune with what he's capable and all that. So, like, he knows better than anyone else, and it's all his want to as well, right? His desire to play. So, but you're right on what you said about legacy. The legacy's been built. I guess what you said was pretty much where I was going at, like with Manning and Brady, how they got another one is kind of what I was alluding to. Yeah. But you're 100% right that it's already been built is what I'm saying. But to me, if he continues to play, you hope it's with a good team that he can continue, that he could play well with, and that he can, have success and do all those things. I don't know what's going to happen. But whatever it is, if he doesn't play, or if he does play, obviously I wish him the best, and I'll continue to watch him play because I think it's fun to watch him play. I enjoyed watching him, even though they didn't have the best season with the Jets. I turned on almost every game I could and watched.
I have asked you this before, and I'll ask you it again because I just love to ask it, and that is, you get 30 seconds to tell people about Aaron Rodgers. Only 30. What do you feel like you want to say to the rest of humanity, just on what you know?
I mean, what I know, and obviously a phenomenal quarterback, to me, a great leader. Everything that you would want out of a football player, right? And I think that's what he was. He's a true competitor. He played through a lot of injuries. So he is a football player, just not a quarterback. And he's all of that. But I think outside of that, I think there's a personal level that people don't get. And I think he's a great guy outside of that. I think that he cares about people. If you get to know him on that level, not many people do. And maybe that's why people think of him a certain way, because he doesn't allow that, which I understand that. But for me personally, I do know him that way. And I think he is a good person. He's, like I said, he's always treated my wife, my kids very well, my brother, my parents. So, like, I can't.
And you didn't say you. I shouldn't interrupt here, but you didn't say you. It's that all those other things that touches a player, not just you. Any player, right? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. It has nothing to do with me. Like, obviously, my relationship with him is another thing, but like the way he treats others when he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to talk to my dad. He didn't have to talk to my brother. He didn't have to do any of that, but he did. And the way he treated people was, I always thought showed the type of guy he was, and that's what I'll always remember for sure.
We've run out of time, other than me asking, are you okay me being your assistant on offensive line? Because when anybody brings it up, I'm going, All right, Homer, I know tackles first. Tackles first. We talk tackles first and everything else after that. Are you comfortable with that, me holding that as the position?
Well, I think you can hold that position. I just think, hey, if we can settle the tackle positions, let's build out to it. That's the way I look at it.
Good. The Brian Bulaga Homer Hour. You gotta listen to this one again. Go to WisconsinOnDemand.com. Next.
We are seeing still some delays. Eastbound 94, pretty hefty from